comments from the commissioners and Sarah, and then we will take questions from attending media as well as folks on the live stream.
Okay, well, I'll get started. Hello, everybody. I'm Tikki Brown. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and we're here today at Second Harvest Heartland with almost a full representation of commissioners and senior leaders from across the state enterprise. And we've been packing food and volunteering here this morning to really raise awareness of the incredible need that Minnesota families feel and need every single day. As you all know, recently the federal shutdown really had a big impact on Minnesota's SNAP recipients and our SNAP program, and we've been working really hard with partners across the state to both raise awareness about the need that is in our state. We have about $70 million of federal dollars that come into our state every month that helps SNAP recipients buy food and remain healthy and remain whole and in their homes. The shutdown really impacted people's food stability, and we are still recovering even though the shutdown is over. In addition, we have a number of policy shifts and changes that have occurred at the federal level as a result of the federal reconciliation bill, and so we are managing a number of individuals who will no longer be eligible for SNAP or who may see reductions in their SNAP program. It's such an incredibly vital program that we would not be able to provide food and nourishment to our neighbors without a full complement of the many resources that we have in our state. So to more fully talk about that, I'll turn it over to my partner, Commissioner Grace.
Hi, I'm Commissioner Grace Arnold. I'm the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Commerce, and we are also seeing a lot of the impacts of the federal, not just the federal shutdown, which has delayed our allotment of our heating assistance program. That's about $100 million of money for Minnesotans who need a little bit of help keeping their homes warm. When you don't have a warm home, then there are a lot of other things that can happen to you, just like if you don't have good food to eat. We're also seeing a lot of really significant impacts of the HR 1 bill on our healthcare ecosystem, and there are nearly 90,000 Minnesotans who will be absent some financial help that they have had in a really challenging time where healthcare costs are increasing. So at Commerce, we see a broad swath of the economy, and we can see all the different ways that a lot of the federal policies that we've seen enacted recently and the shutdown are impacting Minnesotans' lives and how they're really feeling a squeeze, across the board. Now I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Moberg. I am the CEO here at Second Harvest Heartland, and it has been a really difficult month for neighbors who are experiencing food insecurity. Commissioner talked about the federal government shutdown on top of the benefits of the SNAP benefits being lapsed. And then you add on the uncertainty of the holiday season where people are really working to get healthy, nutritious, warm meals on the table so that they can enjoy celebratory moments with their families and friends. And as we think about what I have seen in community, no one should have to deal with the uncertainty and the fear that comes with hunger. And what we've seen in the last few weeks are Minnesotans are stepping forward. They are volunteering, they are showing up with their time, with their donations, and we have so much gratitude for all of that, and both of you being here with your teams as well today. So thank you for that.
Any questions from attending media?
Commissioner Brown, I guess what is the plan, or what's the state's plan for December benefits? Will USDA be releasing that money? If not, what's Minnesota going to do?
Sure. So the question was, what is the state's plan for releasing December SNAP benefits? And will USDA release the funding, or do we know what's happening on that end? And so happily, we do have full, what would you call it? We have resumed normal operations, and so December benefits will not be impacted. Individuals who are on SNAP or who are looking to see if they are eligible for SNAP should absolutely apply, and there will be no delay to December SNAP benefits. I should also mention that's about 440,000 individuals across the state, so it's a large number of people that rely on SNAP in our state, and we are incredibly happy that the shutdown is over and we can resume that normal operations.
And has that number, that 440,000 people, do you have like a number of the increase it's been compared to previous years?
So I don't have a per number per year. The question was, do we have a number of the increase of SNAP participation over the years or compared to previous years? And so right now we are at a little higher than we were pre-pandemic. The program itself is intended to expand and contract as economic conditions, either get better or get worse, and that program is intended to cover for that. During the pandemic, we saw a large increase in SNAP participation, which is resulting to the economic conditions. So we are seeing a little higher, and I think that's a result of the higher than normal food costs and higher than normal healthcare costs, and just the strain that families are feeling.
You mentioned that you're raising awareness and that we're still recovering even though the shutdown is over. What are you hoping to see next, or do you hope that people do raise awareness now?
Yeah, I can take that. So the question is, what are we seeing and hoping that people will do now that the shutdown is over? And I think it's important for people to understand that hunger doesn't go away the next day. And hunger is still, 1 in 5 Minnesota households does not have the food that they need. And so we at Second Harvest Heartland, we're here for as long as hunger exists, and we will work with partners, with donors, media, neighbors, community members, for-profits, nonprofits, government, to make sure that the community gets the resources they need, not only to today, but into the year ahead.
And Sarah, could you talk about just the impact of the shutdown that it had on the food shelves, the strain on the food shelves?
Sure. So the question is talking about the impact of the shutdown and the strain on food shelves. Significant strain. And so when there was a lapse in SNAP, and even the uncertainty or projected lapse in SNAP, caused a lot of fear and uncertainty amongst people who are food insecure, and the best place for them to go is to food shelves. And so food shelf partners were seeing 2 times, 3 times, 4 times and more numbers of people stopping by to look for support at the food shelf. Do you want a little more?
Oh, I was just thinking, but.
Okay. Okay.
I guess, is there anything that, based on how long this shutdown was, to prepare for this possibly happening in the future? Like, how are you guys preparing for this to happen again?
I can start with that. So just thinking about, the question was, based on what we learned from this shutdown and how are we planning for any potential future shutdowns. I think that's a very real possibility, unfortunately. We were happy to have so many lessons learned during this shutdown, and part of that was ensuring that we have good communication channels with our partners, with community members, and so we have a good template for that. We also were able to run a number of different scenarios with our computer systems, and to ensure that we had, options for a partial benefit, for example, or a delayed benefit. We hope it doesn't come down to that. I think, the uncertainty that folks felt during the shutdown and the impact it had on community members, impact it had on our partners is severe and significant. And we also know anytime there is any type of uncertainty, in particular for families that are, impacted by poverty or low, have some economic strain, it takes them a long time to recover from any time there's a delay in benefits or impact. And so I think we will be recovering. We'll be in a recovery period for some time as we work to move ourselves out of it, while at the same time putting in place some mechanisms that will allow us to turn things around even more quickly if we end up in another shutdown scenario. So that's on behalf of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families.
Yeah, and I think each federal funding stream, as we learned during the shutdown, has pretty unique features, and I think it's been a lesson for each of us who rely on federal support to run programs that are reaching Minnesotans. So the timing of this particular shutdown at the change of the federal fiscal year caused us at Commerce to have some really specific, if there was a shutdown in January, we will already have our allotment for heating assistance, so we can anticipate that there might be some differences, but the allotment comes kind of at one time, which makes it easier. So in some ways, that will be better. In other ways, I think we've learned a lot about the mechanics of what happens, and so we can be better prepared to weather a shutdown or know when there are particularly painful times and we maybe need to have backup plans or something else just to make sure that folks are able to stay warm in their homes, which is really the goal for us.
And we look to our state leaders for guidance and assistance throughout any of these scenarios, and so we're just really appreciative for the communication channels and the openness that they've had as we've tried to respond.
I wanted to ask y'all to elaborate on the recovery. You mentioned that food shelves are seeing up to 4 times more people. Does that mean that they're having to reach into their stores and pulling in from reserve funds to pay for things? What does recovery mean?
Sure, I can start with that. At Second Harvest Heartland, we absolutely dipped into our reserves in order to have the ability to bring more trucks of food into our facility and then turn it around and get it out to food shelves. Over the next couple of weeks, you'll see about 50 more trucks coming into Minnesota. That's a significant amount of food, and it is going out to our food shelves at fast paces. And so that is an important supply chain component of the recovery.
I think on our part from the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, we were strategic in ensuring that we had $4 million of resources that went to food shelves several weeks ago, but we also know that was a drop in the bucket compared to some of the increases that folks are seeing. It's my understanding that most food shelves do not have a reserve or do not have the ability, even if they were to be able to pre-buy in advance. There's just not enough space and capacity within the network itself, and so I think they're trying their best to respond to the conditions that are happening, but I don't think that they are well positioned over a long period of time to help meet the needs. And so the extra trucks that were brought in, the extra food funding that we were able to provide helped a little bit, but I think we will likely see increased need for support over time.
And Commissioner Brown alluded to this, but I think there's also a component of Minnesotans' budgets will take some time to recover. So we don't have our heating assistance money yet. If there are people who had applied and we're relying on that to cut into their energy bills, that money has to come from somewhere. And now we've had most of our utilities be really supportive and work with individuals who are on heating assistance to make sure they're on payment plans, but the money does have to come from somewhere until it comes from the federal government. And so whether that means you go to a food shelf instead of buying groceries, or you're trying to, you put something on your credit card where you wouldn't normally have. These are all impacts that add up over time, and it takes people time to recover from an unexpected expense, and this is, any unexpected expense takes a bit of time. This is one more, and it was because of the length of the shutdown.
We're going to wrap up the live stream portion. Thanks for those of you who tuned in to watch. We'll continue to field questions from attending media and those in the room. Thanks again for watching the live stream today. If you have any additional questions, you can post them in the comments and we'll get back to you following.